They didn't scream. They didn't hit you. But somehow, you still walked away from that relationship feeling like you were never enough. You apologized all the time. You doubted your own memory. You stopped trusting your feelings. And the worst part? You thought it was your fault. This wasn't love. It was emotional abuse. Welcome back to Look Within Yourself, a channel where we talk about the hidden wounds that shape our minds and the paths we can take to heal them. Today we're talking about emotional abuse, the kind that doesn't leave bruises on your body, but can leave scars that take years to understand. This video is for anyone who ever said, "Maybe I'm just too sensitive. It wasn't that bad. They never hit me." Let's be clear. Emotional abuse is abuse. It's real, it's harmful, and it's not your fault. Emotional abuse is a pattern of behavior where one person uses words, silence, manipulation, or control to dominate another person emotionally. It often looks like undermining your confidence, shaming you subtly or publicly, withholding affection, constant criticism, gaslighting, threats, or emotional blackmail, blaming you for their outbursts. It can be obvious, but more often, it's insidious. It creeps in slowly. According to the American Psychological Association, emotional abuse often follows a cycle. First, idealization, lots of praise, love bombing, validation. Then, devaluation, subtle criticism, emotional distancing, blame. And finally, control, full shift of power dynamics, isolation, emotional punishment. You don't even realize what's happening until you no longer recognize yourself. Emotional abuse is often missed because it works under the surface. It attacks your sense of self. It convinces you to doubt your own reality. Here are some signs you might be experiencing emotional abuse, even if no one ever raised their voice. 1. You're constantly second-guessing yourself. You rewrite your text 3 times. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong. You're always walking on eggshells. 2. You feel confused more often than not. You remember something clearly, but they insist it didn't happen. They say you're overreacting. This is called gaslighting, and it's a core tactic in emotional abuse. 3. You feel like everything is your fault. They get upset, you fix it. They withdraw, you chase. Their bad mood must have been something you said. 4. They joke in ways that make you feel small. Criticism dressed as humor is still criticism. 5. You feel isolated. Maybe they complain about your friends, or roll their eyes when you mention family. You find yourself withdrawing, not because you want to, but because it's easier than dealing with their reactions. 6. You're afraid to be honest because honesty means triggering punishment, or the silent treatment, or emotional distance. If even one of these feels familiar, you're not imagining it. Emotional abuse impacts the brain in measurable ways. Chronic emotional invalidation triggers your body's fight or flight response, not once, but over and over. Researchers have found high cortisol levels, shrinking of the hippocampus, memory plus emotion regulation, overactivation of the amygdala, fear center, decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex, logical thinking. This means you become more anxious, more self-critical, less able to assess reality calmly. In short, your nervous system adapts to survive, not to thrive. You aren't broken, you were just trying to feel safe. People ask, "Why didn't you leave?" Let me be clear. That question blames the survivor, not the abuser. Emotional abuse is designed to erode your identity. By the time you notice what's happening, you've already been trained to minimize your pain, justify their behavior, distrust your gut, believe it's your fault. Add to that trauma bonding, fear of being alone, financial dependence, lack of support system, love that once felt real, and you have a perfect storm. People don't stay because they're weak. They stay because they were conditioned to. And when they finally leave, it's not a simple breakup. It's a recovery from psychological captivity. This is the part that matters most, because awareness is step one, but healing needs action. Here are 5 things you can do starting today if you're in or healing from emotional abuse. 1. Name it. Call it what it is: emotional abuse. The brain doesn't heal from something it still thinks was just a hard relationship. 2. Rebuild your reality. Keep a journal. Document what was said, how it made you feel, and what actually happened. Gaslighting loses power when you anchor yourself in your truth. 3. Connect with people who believe you. Join a support group. Tell a friend. Validation is medicine for survivors of emotional abuse. 4. Learn the patterns so you don't repeat them. Education is liberation. Learn about trauma bonds, attachment wounds, and narcissistic abuse. Knowledge makes you stronger, safer, and more self-aware. 5. Seek safe help. Therapists who understand trauma and emotional abuse can help you rewire the part of your brain that was trained to fear your own voice. Bonus: practice self-talk reparenting. Speak to yourself the way you wish they had spoken to you. You're not crazy. You're allowed to feel that. You never deserved that. Just because there were no bruises doesn't mean there wasn't harm. Just because you weren't screamed at doesn't mean you weren't silenced. Just because it looked normal doesn't mean it was safe. If this video felt familiar, please know you're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. You're waking up. And when you wake up, you get to rebuild a life that feels like safety, not survival. This was part of a larger series on emotional wounds and inner healing here on Look Within Yourself. If you want more tools to heal from emotional abuse, reconnect with your inner voice, and rebuild your self-worth, hit subscribe, because you deserve love that doesn't cost you your sanity. And remember, the way they treated you wasn't love. It was control.